Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here today with Kurt Leavins. Welcome, Kurt.
Hi.
What a weird game.
Well,
What a
it
weird.
certainly didn't lack for excitement, but it's a damn shame that didn't go into overtime. But as I said to you before we started the podcast tonight, I don't think I can argue that the best team didn't win. The Kings did deserve to win this, even though they blew that lead. They were the better team for the balance of the night, didn't you think?
Well, the grade A shots, Kurt, back up your judgment. 16-12 in terms of grade A shots, and the 5 alarm shots were 8-6.
Right.
So, and it was a night of, I think, fairly shaky goaltending on both sides. Like, I think the Kings fans might not be too happy either about Kemper's play on a few of those goals, but yeah, the Oilers were so lifeless, and then to come back. Let's get at it, Kurt. It's a strange night. Well, it's not. The Oilers are losing, so it's not to have. We usually go 2 good things, 2 bad things, 2 numbers, but we are going to go with 2 bad things each, and I guess that is appropriate given the Oilers lost. So, Kurt, we start off with the good things. What's your good thing?
Okay, well, my good thing's Leon Draisaitl, who I thought was the best Edmonton Oiler from start to finish on this night, and I was a little surprised that was the case because he hasn't played in almost 2 weeks. So on one hand, maybe he's refreshed, but he's coming off an injury that was serious enough to keep him out. But it sure didn't look like it. I think that first period power play didn't look especially sharp, but apart from that. And that was a pretty important point of the game. I don't mean to diminish that, but apart from that, I thought Draisaitl was on his game. And when you look at the fancy stats, they back that up. He easily led the club in CF and was on the ice for 8 scoring chances on the night for the club, according to Natural Stat Trick. Of course, scored that 4-1 goal after clearly being pissed off on the bench after it was 4-0. I kind of hesitate to throw a tantrum because that's not what it was. He was just ticked off, right? And I think he probably said a few things on the bench that needed to be said, and then that line just went out there and scored almost at will. It's like there, you know. And I know there's lots of people that kind of criticize Leon for bad body language. Well, that's good body language. That's a leader taking his team by the horns and saying, we're going this way. Come on and follow me. At the end of the night, Draisaitl had a goal and assist. He was creditless on a couple other goals that he did have rolls on. I just thought he was the best Oiler by quite a ways over the course of 60 minutes. There's a few Oilers who came up big late, but I thought 29 was their best on the night. More need to be like him if they're not going to fall behind 2-0 in this series.
Yeah, I think there's one Oiler who might have challenged Draisaitl for best Oiler, and it's not surprising who this is. It's Connor McDavid. But my good thing is kind of the Corey Perry, Connor McDavid combination. Perry's been getting a bit more power play time. They usually don't play. They didn't play together much at even strength this year at all. But Corey Perry has often been remarked by people such as me who wasn't thrilled about the signing last summer. But man, he has just come through again and again and again and again, and he played great. And I loved on the Oilers, is it the 4th goal, I guess, that the Oilers scored, that he scored. The way he created space for himself. So the Draisaitl wins the face-off, and Bouchard and McDavid work their fantastic play where Bouchard looks for McDavid. Wallman makes a nice pass over to Bouchard, after Draisaitl wins it. Bouchard's at the point, and McDavid goes behind the net, gets the puck, and he just makes an absolutely brilliant spin move. It was, I think, the move of the game, the most exciting move of the game. Perry, meanwhile, has gone to the slot, and he's wide open in the slot to score. And the the reason he's wide open is he's taken his stick and cross-checked the Kings player in the back and just shot him right across the crease, essentially. To that's one way to create space for yourself. He did it. He didn't get called. He's a master of that, and it was a fantastic goal. It was such a great needed goal, obviously, and he scored it. McDavid had made an earlier great play on Draisaitl's goal with 6 seconds left in the second period. Anytime you score with a right at the end of a period, second period, it's a good omen, super good omen, and it certainly was for the Oilers. I didn't expect any. I'm just can't believe they came back, honestly. But McDavid made a great pass there, looking for Leon Draisaitl. He got again spun around a player or two, and Draisaitl pushed off in the slot as well and found open ice and then slammed home his executioner shot. So McDavid was great there. Perry and McDavid then combined again on the fourth goal.
Yep.
And it was a great play. We were talking before the game, and I agree with you, Kirk. Jake Wallman, who I thought actually had a whale of a game.
Me too.
He made a great pinch down the wall, kept the puck in, and it goes to Perry, who puts it to McDavid, who comes out. Hyman's wide open at that point, and the game is the Oilers are still 1 goal down at that point. McDavid then again, Draisaitl makes a great pass to him. He goes around 2 or 3 players, and he beats Kemper on a shot that I think that's one of the shots. I think if you're a Kings fan, you're thinking, how did he? Come on, Kemper, make that save.
Yep, agreed.
Make that save. But McDavid is a great shooter, and great eyes, super calm, and he picked his spot and he hit it and he scored the what looked to be the tie. Looked like overtime, Kurt, and it was just unbelievable. It was so good, but such is hockey.
Yeah, I thought Connor McDavid was average Connor McDavid for the first half of the game, but really cranked it up in the third period and looked like classic McDavid. Corey Perry was +4 in the night, best on the squad. Whether or not you believe in plus minus or not, if you're +4 in a game, you've done something right. And yes, at 39, he is not the same player he used to be and not close to the same boots he used to have. But from the dots in, man, I think he's as good as he ever was from the dots in the offensive zone, right? And he sure was tonight.
You know what? He's healthy this year in the playoffs. He wasn't last year. I'm convinced of that now. Yeah. And it makes all, and you know what? Who else was healthy tonight? Darnell Nurse. Mm-hmm. I thought, there was a few glitches in his game, but I thought Darnell Nurse was really good. Just really, really good this game. Him and Wallman and Kulak. I won't mention the other mention of the top 4 who had his moments, but we're going to get to that right now. Kurt, what is your first bad thing, Amundo?
My first bad thing is the guy that you just didn't mention so that you wouldn't steal it from me, which is Evan Bouchard. And to say he had a high event game was kind, because Bouchard did end the night with 3 assists and was +1. But the reason he was only +1 is he had 4 giveaways, 2 of which were 5 alarm giveaways. One of them, a pass that he just put it right up Darnell Nurse's butt at the defensive blue line. Nurse had nowhere to go with that puck. Puck went back deep and eventually went in the net. Then next goal, Bouchard's got the puck behind the net, and for a reason that only Evan Bouchard truly knows, he chipped it right out into the slot where there were 2 waiting LA Kings. And Stuart Skinner is certainly a discussion on his own tonight. He had no chance on that. It was basically a 2-0. He got deked and it was in. Connor McDavid was coming back on the play, but that pass just flew by him. It's just like, man. And this is the tough thing about Evan Bouchard. You can see the elite moments with the puck where he's got great sense and great vision and all of that stuff. But when he gives almost as many back as he takes, you start to shake your head and wonder if you're winning that trade. As good as Evan Bouchard was in the Stanley Cup playoffs last year, and he was terrific. if this is any indication how he's going to be in this series, it's not going to be a long series.
The game typified his year, Kurt.
Mm, well
It's
put.
been this year. He has made way more many um, egregious turnovers this year than he did last year. I could put a number to it in the past, but tonight was just like, and those two turnovers were both totally unforced.
Oh,
He didn't have
absolutely.
to make either of those plays.
No.
He's trying to, like the first one, there's just no reason to cough up the puck like that. And the second one was he sees McDavid in the middle of the ice, yeah, but you got to hit him.
Yeah.
You got you got to hit that pass. McDavid's going towards the boards. Just put it up the boards, man. Like,
Yep.
the only thing, I didn't get a good look at the replay on that second one where he put it up right up the middle of the ice. Sometimes when a player tries to pass at the last minute, he's jostled, he's pushed, or his stick is hit, and sometimes that can affect the pass. I didn't see that happen, but I can't say it didn't happen, and it might have, because it's just such a terrible pass otherwise. So I don't know, but nonetheless, it's still up to you to make the pass, and
Yeah.
he
And
didn't.
on that and on
So
that first one, the thing that bugged me about it was not only did he put Nurse in a bad spot, but he was forcing it through traffic. The play in that
yeah,
situation is to reverse it, right? Take the
yeah.
puck where there's no pressure, and instead he just tried to force it through and paid the price.
Just looking at his assists, like the one assist at the end of the second period, he made a nice play to get the puck to McDavid there.
Yep, that high to low pass. Yep.
Yeah, and I guess he got an assist on the last goal too. That he was not, he made a pass up to Draisaitl, I think there, which is like kind of a rote pass.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one was the Perry goal, where, oh yeah, he made a very nice pass, as he does to McDavid, down low, but it was McDavid who made that play. It's still a great pass.
Yeah.
Bouchard makes it with
Yep.
accuracy, like a dart thrower. So I'll give him, like, there was a couple really nice plays as well on goals. I'll give him that, but you're like, the trade off wasn't there tonight, Kurt,
Yep.
because
Yep.
I agree with you. Like, I'd give him, when you add it all up, probably a 3.
Funny. That's exactly what he's getting.
3 out of 10.
Good call, David.
Okay, my first bad thing is the coach's decision to play Josh Brown.
Okay.
And I don't think there was an Oiler fan on the internet that I saw, at least, Kurt, who was saying you should play Josh Brown. We weren't, in our last podcast, we didn't say it. We
Yep.
said that's a big mistake. He's not, I think both of us, he's not agile enough to defend. He's gonna give up in his own zone, and it's gonna cost the Oilers. And did it ever? It set the tone for this entire game. And it's not an easy play. I'm not saying this is an easy play. It was a great execution play by Fiala,
Mm-hmm.
who was making great execution plays all night, I should say. But it's the penalty kill. He's out there, and the puck gets put to Fiala on the right face-off dot, who immediately passes it cross seam right through Brown, right through Wallman, I believe. Janmark took a circuitous route to the
Yes,
puck
he did.
carrier.
Yep. Good
And if
eye.
he didn't do that, he would have got stick on puck. So Matthias Janmark was every bit as much to blame as Josh Brown.
Yep.
But both of those players, Brown just he didn't move quickly enough to block that pass. And he didn't read the play well enough to recognize the real danger man, which was the guy down low beside the net, as opposed to he's got a tough play. There's a guy up
Yep.
a bit in the slot. He's got to cover kind of both of them. It's not an easy play, but it's the kind of play that a really good defenseman will make a lot. And just Josh Brown, he's not quick enough to make it. And so this is what we were all fearing would happen, and boom, it happened. So maybe the coach would just exonerate him, say that's just a great offensive play. The defenseman's not to blame there. I don't, that's why you have defensemen, to make great defensive plays in the right read.
As soon as that puck went in, David, I thought to myself, that puck doesn't go in if Matthias Ekholm's playing.
I completely agree, Kurt. Like
Right.
I think it does not either. So it's not against Josh Brown. The coach put him in a position where he can't succeed. which is in this game. And I'm not saying, Cam Dineen would have made that play, but he wouldn't have been on the ice killing the penalty. They would have gone with someone else,
Yep.
and it would have probably been a better call. In the end, they realized Josh Brown couldn't play in this game, and he only played like 454.
Yeah, the only
He only
really
had
good
10.
moment he had was on the 5-on-3 where he had a couple of block shots. But a 5-on-3 is you're playing strict zone in a 5-on-3, right? So his
Yeah, and
foot
you
speed
got
doesn't
that
matter as
big,
much.
you got that big man with the big
Yeah.
wingspan. So 10 shifts in total. And again, nothing against Josh Brown. Maybe you said it best, Kurt, last podcast. You said this at this point we can safely say he is an AHLer. He really is. So is Dineen, but at least Dineen moves the puck, and they might have got something out of him. Like when LA was pressing in the first period, Dineen might have made a few nice passes to break that pressure, and they could have counted on him. And I don't think the Oilers defensemen looked tired in this game. They didn't, but it would have helped to have one more guy who could, let's say, play 8 or 9 minutes and made a few more good offensive plays rather than a guy you had to staple to the bench because he played exactly like 99.9% of Oilers observers and fans thought he was going to play. Everybody but the coach. The coaches involved in the decision, Paul Coffey and Chris Knobloch.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good call. I can see that, maybe they made it for the penalty kill. That maybe they thought they needed one more guy, one more defenseman they could really trust, but I just don't.
Yet the play on the penalty kill was the critical part of his night, and it's a puck that went in, right? And he only played 454, like he barely broke a sweat.
What's your second bad thing, Kurt?
My second bad thing is the fact that this didn't go to overtime, and while myself and our late dear friend Bruce McCurdy have spilled a lot of ink standing up for Stuart Skinner. After your captain scores that 5-5 goal and there's a minute and a half left, you've come all the way back from 4-0 to force overtime in game 1 on the road. You've got to stop that puck. Find it. Hunt it down and grab it. There was a bit of a deflection, but it was a flutter puck. It's not like Bouchard was shooting at 95 miles an hour. He has to stop that puck in that situation after his teammates brought them all the way back. It just sucked the air out of the Oilers.
So I completely agree. I on my scoring, I rated that as a shot the goalie should have had. The only thing I'm not completely certain of, because the replays weren't conclusive, is how good was the screen that Foegele set? Like, did he completely blot out the shot and the shooter for Skinner? Because Skinner, of course, Skinner also, he was anticipating the shot and he moved into the screen. He moved before he saw the shot. I think he thought it was going to go one way, and it didn't. So he moved so he couldn't see it with Foegele in front of him. That's what I saw. And so that's a mistake by the goalie, I believe. He see the shot, then move.
Yeah.
Although I mean, if you're an NHL goalie, you got to move, right? Too. It hit him in the shoulder.
Yeah.
And it wasn't his only, Kurt, it wasn't his only iffy moment. My bad thing's the second goal. Are you done with that one?
I'm done with that one. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still mad at it, but I'm done with it.
We're never going to be done with that one.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised, right? Like that's.
I'm not surprised you're picking out the 2-0 goals, what you're going to talk about, right?
Yeah. Because again, it's like, the Oilers really lost this game in the first period. They get down 2-0. It's so hard to come back. You can do it. Like they're the Oilers. They're the comeback kings, and all last playoffs they did it. But you can't. You can only ask so much of the comeback kings.
And LA's the second best defensive team in the league. Like, you're just asking for it, right?
They were totally asking for it, and they had nothing. And just like Brown, who hasn't played much in the NHL and was rusty, Trent Frederick was pretty rusty in that. He only played 921. I don't know if he was hurt, but he didn't play much. Like, he's coming off injury. I don't know.
I sure didn't see him late.
Yeah, they might just have not trusted in him. Although he did make a nice offensive play early on as well. But the Oilers end up with like 4 men on the boards around the puck on one side, and Frederick's the guy who should be covering the other point. So
Yes.
he's the one who's got to make the read, and he's just over there, and he's late. So
Yep.
the puck gets moved over to the other point, and who gets it? Drew Doughty, the last guy in the world you want to give time and space to with the puck. Drew Doughty, and what does he do? The perfect shot. He knows he's shooting from outside. He's not likely to score. So what does he do? Low off the pad to the far side, and Skinner puts it. It's actually not a bad rebound. Skinner fights off the shot. It's not a bad shot by Doughty, and it's going to go into the corner. A big Quinton Byfield's there, sneaking in, and from the side of the net, he takes a shot. At the same time, there was another player who might have read the play a bit better, and that's Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who was both defensemen had someone in the zone. Even if it's a zone, doesn't mean like if there's wide open players down low, you've got to cover them. Like you can't
Take somebody.
you got the zone's there so you can read the play and then go to the guy when he's going to shoot. Someone was telling me like you can't blame Nugent Hopkins. That's the zone. Like he's covering his area. He's in that area so he can read and then get to that guy.
Read and react.
He's not running all over the place.
Yep.
So Byfield was Nugent Hopkins' man, and he let him go. He didn't notice him. This happens in hockey. Everyone's looking at Doughty like he's so wide open. It's just like coming in. He's had like 4 seconds. It's 5 steamboats he's got to pick his spot. So I can see why Nugent's looking at him, but he lets Byfield alone, and he's too late to the shot on Byfield. If I'm completely honest, I also thought I didn't blame Skinner on that one because it was but he seemed a little late coming across the crease.
Well, you'll see in my game grades that I pointed out the fact that he was late coming across. So
you think? Yeah, I think he was, and maybe I should be blaming on that one as well, for missing that shot. Maybe because it's not from a prime scoring area, but it's a tough one because he's got to get way across the net, and on Kuzmenko's wraparound, he was slow coming over too, which is why that was as dangerous as it was, I think.
Yeah, got his pad on it, but that probably should have gone in, right?
Yeah, because he was slow all night, slow moving across the net. There was a number of occasions, there 4, 5, 6, where he looked slow moving in the net. I don't know if they'll go to Pickard. That's a lot of goals though on 16 grade A shots. Like you'd expect 4, they got 6. And I think that might go to Calvin.
Yeah, I thought all along that they wouldn't go to Pickard in game 2. I thought they'd give Skinner 2 games, and if it's not going well, then they'd switch. And some people might argue, well, that's too late. You're down 2-0 by then. But I felt all along that's probably the way they'd handle it. I think Skinner's their guy, so I expect they'll go back to him. But I'm with you. I don't think there's anything wrong with sober second thought because he certainly wasn't the best version of Stuart Skinner tonight.
He made some good saves.
Oh yeah.
He had 16 grade A shots and he stopped 12 of them.
Yeah, like that.
Excuse me, not 12 of them. He stopped 10 of them. My math.
Yeah, that save he made off Fogle in the first period was a really good shot. And then where is it here? Fiala and Kuzmenko, when it was still 4-2, both Fiala and Kuzmenko had chances on back-to-back shifts where Skinner made really good stops on both.
And on the 5-on-3, there was 2 wicked shots that he stopped.
Yeah, I certainly don't blame him on the 5-on-3. Yeah, that's just a shooting gallery. Yeah.
Yeah, he was fantastic, Stuart Skinner, in that moment. But all right.
Breathe in, breathe out.
I'm not that.
Maybe we need to take up yoga.
I do yoga, Kurt. I've taken it up. It's great. It's great. Took it up like at age 50 or about 60.
Maybe that's why you're more chill than me.
You seem pretty chill, Kurt.
Pretty
chill, man.
Except when that 6-5 goal went in.
Okay, where are we? We are now on to
numbers, right?
We're now on to our numbers, Kurt. What is your number?
My number is 9:13. 9:13 of the second period is when the Oilers got their first shot of the second period. I believe Louis DeBrusque said that it was like 40 plus minutes of real time, like time on the clock in between Oilers shots. And even that one was a Bouchard slap shot from a fair distance out. right?
I remember
Uh,
it. Yeah.
yeah, they had nothing going on, man. And look, I don't mean to take credit away from the Kings. They generally are a good defensive team, and I think they were backtracking hard, and I think they were really tight to Connor McDavid for the first 40 minutes of this game. But you're the Edmonton Oilers. 6 shots in 29 minutes isn't enough. You're not going to win most games if that's all that you generate.
They were
Um,
so flat. I mean, I
yeah,
think that Exa and the crew nailed it between periods. The Kings had been beaten 3 years in a row. They just came out more hungry. They just
yeah,
were not.
yeah.
They just made it up in their minds. We are going to outwork these guys. And not only did they outwork the Oilers, Kurt, they outslashed the Oilers. Like every Oiler was getting slashed constantly. Not enough to get penalties in the NHL the way it is, but just they did the stick work from the Kings was highly effective,
Hmm.
and it was constant. It was a constant barrage of hacks against the Oilers in that first two periods, and they really did shut them down. Kurt, the Oilers had it by the time the Kings had 4 goals,
Hmm.
the Oilers only had 3 grade A shots.
See, that kind of exemplifies the first 30 minutes of the game.
Yeah,
Um,
not good.
no,
Not even close to good.
it's the other thing that went through my head while I was watching that first 30 minutes of the game is this looks like a team that hasn't played together in a while. And that's
Sure
because
did,
it
eh?
hasn't,
Yeah,
right?
indeed. Okay, my number is 521. In the last 6 minutes and 46 seconds of the game, Leon Draisaitl played 5 minutes and 21 seconds. And you know what? I liked, I loved how much the coach was using his big guns through most of that until McDavid scored. And um, I just thought at that point, kill the game until the overtime, play to the overtime, because they kept the big guys out there.
Yep.
And they were it was two things at once. They were pumped up on scoring and adrenaline. Like what a jacked up moment. And I can see why the coach goes for it on one level, but they are also exhausted. They are exhausted. And the winning goal is scored by the danger man, the guy coming in late. It's a 2-on-2. It's a two defensemen back and 2 Kings up. Who comes into the play late? Dunno. And why does that happen? Because Leon Draisaitl has gone too deep, a little bit too deep in the offensive zone because they're so intent on scoring a goal. He's a little late to start the back check, and he's not gonna. Sometimes he could catch the guy if he's got full energy. He's not catching him then, and he wasn't close to catching
Because
him.
he's
Dunno.
already half gassed, right?
He's
Yeah.
gassed, and that's not. I am not blaming Leon Draisaitl. I'm blaming the coach.
Yeah.
I
He didn't put him out
you
there, right? Yeah.
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 You've got to. I know that they want to win, but there's only so much two guys, McDavid and Draisaitl, could do. You've tied the game. Give your superstars a break. At least maybe a minute, and maybe put them out for the last 20 or 30 seconds if you're going to get them back on the ice. Get another line out there, and and kill this game off. Get to overtime. I was disappointed in the coach again in that moment, and I haven't been really disappointed in Chris Knobloch. I know he's had a lot of criticism through the year. I haven't been feeling it. Like I just really like the way he coaches, but I think he went too hard in that moment he relied too much on his superstars in that moment, and it might have cost the Oilers the game because he had gassed players on the ice.
Yeah. I guess to play devil's advocate, because I don't entirely disagree with you, I got to say, but I guess what's going through the coach's mind at that time? Well, I've got all the momentum. I have, if I don't score, I have an intermission coming up when I can rest my big guys, and I have the best players. I think those are probably the factors that he's weighing. Um, but that's me playing devil's advocate because, frankly, I'm on your side on this one.
Yeah.
Um, it's those guys that put the team on their back and got it tied up to begin with. Are you going to keep them carrying the team around on their back while they're tired? It's, we talked in our previous podcast how this Oilers team has more forward depth than they've had in maybe 15 years. Surely you've got a second and a third line you can put out there to get you to overtime. Well, they do, but to your point, he didn't use them.
Okay, so he did give them there was a slight burst. He did give them after the goal, after McDavid's goal, Kurt.
Yeah, Henrique went out, right?
Yeah, there is a very, very brief moment
Very
of time.
brief. Yeah.
Very brief, where Draisaitl's not on the ice. So okay, I'll just tell you. He was out from 128 to, he got a 16 seconds on the bench. It just wasn't enough. And he's played essentially the previous 4 minutes straight. And it's just asking too much.
Yeah, I'm with you. You can't say that you can't go to Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Adam Henrique and say, we need 60 seconds between you fellas. Of course you can.
Just go to your penalty. Like, you got Matthias Janmark, Connor Brown, Adam Henrique. You've got guys who are supposed to be able to kill off penalties.
Yes.
They should be able to kill off 5-on-5.
Yeah.
Just Podkolzin, Nugent-Hopkins. There's an array of guys that you should be able to trust in that moment to kill the clock for a minute. And because then you get Draisaitl and McDavid all the second, they get a really good rest. They can have an orange slice or whatever they have, and smelling salts, and they can come out there and they're good to go. And you still have the best players, and you can put them out there for the first shift, and take a break then for the third shift, then for the you can just run two lines overtime or whatever you're going to do.
So since you're picking on the coach, why don't we pick that up and run with it? Because I want to talk about the Wallman puck over glass play.
Okay.
And interest to get your opinion on this, because of course initially it was delay a game because the puck went over glass. The Oilers challenged it, lost the challenge. Now it's a 5-on-3. And you might say, well, Leavins, it's a moot point because they killed off the 5-on-3. Well, yeah, but they spent 2 minutes not coming back in the hockey game, right? That's 2 minutes they were on their heels. That was a 5-on-3, with the two D-man and Nugent-Hopkins for pretty much the whole time. And good on those players for killing it off. But that 2 minutes really interrupted the Oilers' momentum. But do you fault Chris Knobloch for challenging
that? You thought that it hit the glass. I thought watching it, it's not conclusive. But Kurt, they're down 5-3. Okay, at that point, correct? Mm-hmm. They've just scored, but they're down 5-3, and that's a lot of 2 goals. It's a lot to ask for. And then they get a power play. It's also 2 minutes. I think you got to roll the dice sometimes. And if you think that, that hit the glass, that tipped the glass, was that the call on the ice?
Yes.
Oh, did it tip the glass?
Well, here's the thing. There was a bit of a disagreement between the officials on the ice, which is why I was a little puzzled with it wasn't conclusive enough to call it off. Well, the officials weren't conclusive in the first place. One of them immediately did that. Immediately. And I believe what I remember seeing is one of the referees skated and went, no, that went straight over. But it was the linesman that was closest to the puck that initially did the.
So do we know the call on the ice? And if it's the call on the ice, it has to be conclusive to turn it over, correct?
Yes, and it was eventually a call on the ice, even though there was an initial dispute with the officials. The 4 officials got together and decided, that went over the glass. I don't pretend to have a better angle than anybody else at home did. I'm watching on the TV just like all you guys are. But I could have sworn I saw that puck change direction. This isn't like the magic loogie from Seinfeld. Like this isn't the bullet that did a U-turn to kill Kennedy. You know, this was a puck that pretty clear to me didn't just change direction midair. It hit something to change direction.
We had this earlier. Remember, someone tried to bat the puck out in the front of the net. I can't remember the play. This is the kind of play Bruce will remember in a second. But there was a goal because someone tried to bat the puck, and did he hit the puck with his hand or not? And you couldn't tell.
I do
I
remember.
I don't think I couldn't tell. Like I couldn't tell. So that was my call. I just couldn't. I couldn't be sure. It looked like it might have.
Yeah,
But
and I think that's fair. It's a good discussion, right? And I guess if we're inconclusive between us, then maybe the officials got the right call.
yeah. So maybe not, did Knobloch get the right call? I do think it was. Again, I'm okay with him. That's not an issue that I have with the coach. Maybe because it turned out. Maybe they killed the. No, they didn't kill the penalty. What am I saying? Yeah, they didn't. They scored on the 5-on-3.
They didn't. They eventually did score on that. Yes.
Yeah, excuse me. So it really cost the Oilers.
Yeah. I'll say this,
but again, they're down by 2, Kurt. So I'm okay with it.
The one final thing I'll say about that play was when you're the player that shoots the puck, whether it went off the glass or not. And Jake Wallman was convinced it hit the glass. And even after the play, he came out to meet the referee at the penalty box to try and talk him out of it. I mean, you're not going to at that point, but I'm pretty sure Jake Wallman probably knew better than anybody else in the rink whether that hit the glass or not.
Although some players, some players, some players are
sneaky.
No, they're not sneaky. They're
untruthful.
No, they're not even untruthful. It's
now we're talking about the election.
They just have confirmation bias. They just, they think it might, and they're convinced, but maybe they're wrong. Like I wouldn't trust the player. All right, Kurt. I guess that's the shooting match. Back at it. The Oilers. I picked the Oilers in 5, so I'm not looking too good here, but we'll see.
Well, I'm sure the Oilers went into these first 2 games thinking we need a split in LA.
Yeah, then they sure need it now.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. Kurt, thanks for talking tonight.
Always a pleasure, David. Thank you.
And in the meantime, and in between times, and until we meet again, Bruce McCurdy, having a beer at the table of our fathers, hall of our fathers, with the hockey gourds. This has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.